Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I now share my slides. So, good morning. Welcome to this international workshop on digital building permit organized by the UNET4DBP together with USDR, the European Task Group, and Building Smart. So today and tomorrow you will have the opportunity to get some insight into some works which is ongoing and developed about the digitalization of building permits. Now I say some words to introduce the UNET4DBP. It is born because we know well that there are many advantages that could be related with the digitalization of building permission issuing. And so, for example, we could reuse data, we use more complex and more rich data. We could make more advanced simulations and analysis, and also save some money and workload from municipalities. That is also something that would allow more advanced and improved quality. However, we all know that this switch to a digital process would entail a lot of complexity, and we should make this translation considering the process, the rules and requirements point of view, and technology. So for making all of this, we need a multidisciplinary team, an international approach, and intersectoral collaboration. So for this reason, several institutions coming from research, standardization, companies, public administrations, and professionals have joined their efforts and their interest in the European Network for Digital Building Permit, started last year, so it's more or less 1 year old. And you can have a better insight of it in the website. So all working together to get to this big goal of digital building permit. This is the current picture, more or less, of the network now. So we are from several countries, we are several institutions, and we are crossing our interests coming from different fields and different expertises. You can also see that we have...
Sorry, the presentation has stopped.
Oh.
Sorry,
so
interrupt.
Where did it stop?
In this slide, I think.
You mean that you can't see it anymore?
Yeah.
So I try to share it again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jada. Do you see?
Yes.
Okay. And we also have the support of these 3 organizations that cross part of their scope within the use case of digital building permit. This is the program of today and tomorrow. You can see that we have several sessions which are in line with the pillars of the network that are process, rules and requirements, and technologies. And I also invite you to join the interactive activities about the development of a maturity model for this use case. We can take the opportunity of having such a big and expert and diverse audience in order to work all together for shaping something shared and valuable. And I also invite you to this experiment of the speed networking in the lounge that will be held this afternoon, thanks to the digital means that we are using. Just a very quick overview of the tool. So here you have the lounge. You can join the tables and talk to others. You have the chat where you can send, and you can also, besides the chat, during the presentations, you will have question and answer tab here, and you can raise your hand for participating to discussions. So please use these tools and enjoy the workshop. So thank you for coming, and now I leave the stage to Jada that will tell you something more about this network.
Yes, thank you very much, Francesca, for the introduction. And I just want to share with you the European Network for Digital Building Permit vision that we developed last year. And starting from this picture, we want to build with you, to develop with you this maturity model in order to be able to reach our ambitions and requirements altogether. As already Francesca mentioned, our network has three main pillars: process, technology, and rules and requirements that you can see in the colored box. And another important point is the empowerment of public officers that we included into our vision. And so our aim is to achieve simple and machine-readable rules and requirements, and efficient building permit process, and the use of interoperable technologies. And in order to be able to achieve these ambitions, we of course need to fulfill some requirements, which are here represented. For example, we have to build up a normative context that should be interpretable. Building codes should be machine readable in order, of course, to achieve these simple and machine readable rules and requirements ambition. In the same way, we must be aware of the process steps of the building permit process. We must know which are the different spatial and semantic data that we have in our building permit process. And of course, we need to achieve an alignment across Europe in scope and ambitions. And of course, we also have to work on standardization. In the same way, in order to achieve the ambition of having interoperable technology, we also have to work on building up common dictionaries, which are also a requirement, of course, for an efficient process. We have to develop, to define modeling convention and guidelines, and work with interoperability and APIs. Of course, these requirements can be referred both to technology and also process. And of course, the main requirements are those in gray. We have to communicate about the existing experiences, and we are here today for this reason. We need to enforce to enhance the collaboration between software companies, SMEs, and research. And thanks to your participation today and tomorrow, we are able to put together all these different professionalities and competencies together. So thank you very much. This is a very short introduction about the European Network for Digital Building Permit vision. And I would like to leave the stage back to Professor Cirbini, right?
Yeah.
Or to Yantin? No, Professor Cirbini. Okay?
Yes.
Thank you very much. And enjoy these 2 days of work.
I'm sorry, Professor. Sorry, Angelo. I think that maybe in the meantime we can proceed with the other presentation from Jantin's daughter about the USDR and its contribution and role in the UNet4DBP. Please, Jantin, thank you.
I think you can hear me, yeah? And also see my slides, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, on behalf of EuroSDR, I would like to welcome you to this event. Maybe I should explain a bit more about what EuroSDR is for the people who are new to this organization. EuroSDR stands for European Spatial Data Research, and it's a non-profit organization that exists since 1953. And it brings together national mapping and cadastral agencies and research institutes in Europe with the aim to jointly perform applied research in spatial data provision, management and delivery. We also provide educational activities, and at this moment we have around 12 member countries. And the members are both NMCAs and research institutes, and since a few years we also have associate members which are from industry. Our interest in this network comes from the 3D Special Interest Group that started within EuroSDR in 2013. In that year, several NMCAs started discussing in EuroSDR that they all are in the process of changing that, or at least making the step from 2D mapping to 3D mapping. We all faced similar issues, and therefore we planned to start this special interest group to work together on issues of common interest. And within this group, we we come together a few times per year to exchange experience and knowledge and progress within our countries on 3D mapping. But we also have projects and on specific issues. The first project that we had was on economic value of 3D data. And we also had a project on the integration between Geo and BIM, which is very much related to this network. And at this moment, we are considering to start another project on 3D and utilities. So the EuroSDR GeoBIM project is very much, we see it as a pre-step of this network. We run it the past 3 years, and it was a collaboration of about 12, 13, 14 national mapping agencies and universities. And the aim of this project was to study from real practice use cases what the integration of geo information and BIM, how that can what the impact is on national mapping agencies, and how data in both domains can be better used for specific use cases, and also with a specific focus on improving workflows in practice. And we identified 2 use cases, one on asset management and one on the building permit issuing. And you may not be surprised that this second use case was the step towards this network. The results of this GeoBIM project are available via our website. So Francesca played a very important role in this. On this website, you can find publications and presentations, also presentations that we had during our project meetings. And as part of this project was also an ADSURF course developed. And ADSURF courses are an education framework of the EuroSDR, which aim mainly to educate people from practice in innovative technologies for spatial data. So that was the end of the GeoBIM project, but we did not solve all the issues for the building permit issuing, and therefore we are very happy that there's now a follow-up of this project, this use case, in this European network for their digital building permits, with an extended group with even more partners. And what's also very nice is that there are also more disciplines involved in this network. So with that, I would like to close this welcome from on behalf of EuroSDR and wish you a very fruitful event.
Thank you, Jantien. Maybe now we can leave the stage to Angelo Ciribini. Maybe now it's the technical issues have been solved. No, we can still hear you. Yeah, not sure how to solve this. Now I see you unmuted, but yeah, maybe in the meantime we proceed again with Nicolas Nisbet from Building Smart and this presentation, and then we come back to the UBIM task group. Thank you.
Okay. Morning, everyone. I will try and manage without slides, but I'd like to offer welcome and support to the EU network for digital building permits from Building Smart and from the Building Smart regulatory room in particular. I think a little bit about Building Smart, if I may. It arose out of a fusion of interests in the 1990s of European efforts on standards and a realization in the USA that the transition from CAD towards BIM would go better if there were standards. And what started as the Industry Alliance for Interoperability became the International Alliance for Interoperability. And after 10 years hard work, we dropped the somewhat confusing name and adopted Building Smart, which has been become much more familiar. We're international, we're not for profit. There are two kinds of membership. There are countries, members, which we call chapters, and there are corporate members directly into international, but those corporate members are expected to help support and engage with the chapters. So we have a diverse community of architects, engineers, contractors, and client bodies. And if there is a gap in our portfolio, it would be governmental members. Starting with the IFC, which many of you know, we developed multiple standards for the industry over the years. And if I were to pick out three others, I'd like to mention, first of all, the use of the information delivery manual method, which is based on business process swim lanes to identify the information flows needed. We pioneered that some 15 years ago now, and it's almost become an industry standard now. And it's the way that we connect or help people connect the processes that they're involved with the information flows. We then have another standard called the Building Smart Data Dictionary, which is based on an ISO standard, which Building Smart wrote and got adopted. And that offers to help the industry communicate by hosting multiple synonyms in languages and in technical languages, including the IFC, of course. And that's a resource that's free at the point of use. And more organizations are recognizing the benefit of uploading their ontologies and developing the links to others, ontologies, classifications, even work breakdown structures have a place in the BSDD. And I think it offers a way forward to separate language from the applications that we develop. Another standard is BCF, the BIM collaboration format, which offers a way of opening up the communication between different users of BIM and to allow applications to open and look at exactly the right point to identify problems or to discuss and review problems. So it's a lightweight messaging format which allows models to stay where they're made, and that issues can be passed around and discussed. But of course, the main standard is IFC, and it's really exciting to see how many of the projects that we'll hear about today, and we heard about yesterday at the Building Smart Regulatory Room, are turning to the IFC as the common language for the industry. So the regulatory room is one of about 12 rooms, which are open forums under different topics. There's an airport room, there's a infrastructure room and a rail room. There are rooms addressing construction and product data. And the regulatory room is perhaps unusual amongst all those, that it's on the leading edge of representing the demand side for BIM. We have an interest in regulation. We also have an interest in client requirements. And it's that side of the equation that I think both, all the groups that are meeting here today are really keen on. And I think people have recognized for many years that the regulatory challenge is the proof of the pudding, because many of the other uses of BIM are private to the client or the asset owning organization or the project that's producing it. And the regulatory room is when all those efforts meet the public interest. And that's a challenge. I think Chuck Eastman in his books always put regulatory compliance checking somewhere near the last chapter, because it's clearly the ultimate test of whether what we are doing has value and meaning, and particularly long term. So the regulatory room is a discussion forum, and if we identify projects, we take them forward. Those of you who attended the Building Smart presentations earlier in the week will have heard that we are starting a project to gather the regulatory information requirements, and I know many of the projects you're involved with are generating those, and we think that Building Smart can have a role in making an anthology, a collection of those, making sure that those properties and attributes and relationships that already exist in the IFC scheme are used, and adding when necessary. And I hope many of the projects will consider contributing to that effort over the coming 18 months. Other things we have done in the past include overviews of digital permitting from a worldwide perspective, lots of input from Korea and Japan, and increasing interest from South America, which was of interest. We've also looked at the business case and the value of the social, not the social network, but the the social network of interests that gather around regulatory. So it's not purely a financial business case. And we did do a report 4 years ago on rule interoperability, and I think that's something that I would hope that this group would also take a strong interest in, because the economics of specific applications is always going to be challenging, but if we can come up with generic solutions, then we will create a market for the ideas we think are important. So those are available from our website, but I think the themes that the European Network for Digital Building Permitting and Building Smart Regulatory Room are very closely aligned, and I look forward to more and more working together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nicholas. And now we go for one more attempt with Angelo Cherubini.
Do you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Oh, I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but I had to change my device, and so so I will share my screen, of course. And so, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I will try to, on maybe a short basis, try to sum up some key points and key issues. It's clear that we are dealing with the so-called digital building permit, as Nick was remembering us just a few minutes and seconds ago. But it's clear that the maybe digital compliance related notion, and namely the consent and approval oriented processes, are to be widened and broadened more and more, and involving, of course, also the maybe public clients, public works, and for instance, the tendering and awarding procedures. And so I think that we have to maybe take into account such maybe a premise. It's clear that we have to maybe move and work within maybe a natural world, and so we have to move on maybe an incremental basis towards a machine interpretable word, but it's clear that we have to start from the natural language, and so it's clear that we have to be maybe confiant in front of the techniques and technologies dealing with the natural language processing. But it's clear that we have to wait for a long time to maybe provide a whole maybe set of machine interpretable constraints. And so the machine readable information requirements are a key topic to be investigated and practiced by a lot of public and private clients, and by the public administrations too, of course, first of all. And it's clear that we, for instance, just yesterday, we were hearing within the Build Smart International Summit mentioned by Nick, of course, some interesting efforts and attempts to improve the semi-automated processes, and of course to look at the artificial intelligence related maybe options and potentials. And so, but I think that we have to also maybe take into account that we could provide within a post-pandemic age some maybe special purpose indicators dealing with the built sets and the building first of all. And for instance, we could figure out to start from the so-called SRI, the Smart Readiness Indicator, in order to, for instance, imagine to maybe set up a sort of preparedness and readiness indicator dealing with the not only, of course, the SARS, but also the measles and so on. So, of course, we are to maybe remember that the issue of the healthy building is long-dated issue, but a long-dated one. But it's clear that we have to look at some maybe interesting perspectives following according to such a trend. And so we have, as the UBIN task group, for instance, maybe consider also if an European way for the digital compliance could be shaped or not. Because, for instance, Nick was just remembering us that Korea, South Korea, Japan, China, and of course the US are trying to develop their own maybe ways and paths. But I think that we could maybe reflect and maybe deeply think about the European way, because it's clear that the digital European sovereignty is a very maybe sensitive topic to be investigated and performed. So I think that we could move within such a scenario. And I think that it's maybe my last thought, but I think that we have to reason about how, for instance, not only the GDPR related constraints, but maybe an European way of thinking and behaving could pursued. And so I think that the digital building permit could be a very maybe interesting and performing and fascinating starting point in order to maybe face and cope with the digital world, to be maybe strengthened by not only the next generation within the EU, but also looking at, for instance, at the CDBB related initiatives in the UK and so on. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Angelo, and everyone for your presentations and introduction to the entities and organizations supporting altogether, well, the network, but especially this use case. And now we can start with session 1. So I will shortly end this session and start the following one. So I invite the speakers and the chair, Miguel Azenia, to join the backstage to manage and start the new session. Thank you very much. See you later in the lounge.